Hey guys, it's the Gundam Boy, and today we're going to be taking a look at the power of the Meltagun. I was very curious on how this weapon was going to work because I don't know anything about the 40k universe except for Space Marine Cool and Blue, but Yellow wouldn't look cooler. I wouldn't be surprised if the lore for Warhammer was thicker than every religious book combined. I don't think this warbond would be nearly as legendary though if we didn't have this crazy weapon.
Oh my God,
He dodged it! Oh! And I didn't think we'd get a weapon that was this destructive in our hands.
Oh wait, hold on, come here.
But let's take a look at the basics of this weapon. And of course, if you want this weapon for yourself, it's going to be in the 40k Warbond on the 3rd page. Taking a look at its stats, we can see that it has 2,600 damage, an AP level of 7, it has a beam range of 15 meters, and weirdly enough, it has a flame slowed down effect. You have a total of 5 magazines, which all have 3 shots, which means within a mag, you can deal at least 7,800 damage, which is a lot of damage. I'm not sure why there's a flame slowed effect, especially when most enemies can't tank that much damage from this thing anyways. In a battle against all the chaff, it usually ends like this. Again, something that's very important to cover is the range of this weapon, which has a max range of 15 meters. But with the visual design of the beam, it can give off the impression that it has a longer range. Every weapon has a distance it likes to dance at, and this one likes to dance up close. When you're going up against the enemy units, once you pull the trigger, you are fully committed to firing that weapon.
Ah, damn it, Taurus! Pick a direction, dude. I thought you were going the other way.
However, there are some other traits that you'll have to keep in mind. When you finally pull the trigger on this weapon, the ergonomics will drop, making it much harder to turn while firing, making it more difficult to land multi-hits when you're trying to fire this weapon. Now, you could sweep the damage across several targets, it's just very weighty and slow. But this is only applicable when the weapon is firing. It moves pretty fast otherwise. I'd also like to note for a majority of this video, I am using the Casterkin armor, specifically because it gives you higher ergonomics, which means more control over the laser, and it gives you the faster reload. But let's talk about some big weaknesses that will come in mind when you use this weapon. Range is not what this weapon's designed for. Trust me, a grand majority of the enemies you'll face off with will be within your laser's range, as they often walk right into it. But there are enemies that prefer to engage you at a distance, like the Gatekeeper. Open environments with this weapon isn't going to be much better, as you don't have any cover to sneak up on the enemy. But despite being a weakness of this weapon, there is a variety of tools at our disposal that we can pair with it to close the distance. Warp Pack is going to pair perfectly with this weapon, allowing a lot of mobility and control for where you want to be positioned to fire your laser. It might be a weakness, but it's a weakness that can be countered.
Dumb. Oh!
And if it wasn't clear, this weapon is not a counter chaff weapon. It's a screw you specifically weapon, and it's definitely overkill against a small chaff. But let's talk about how it fares on all the fronts. Starting on the bug front, let me just tell you, this thing is counter charger, being able to annihilate them at the head with no problem. Having 3 people point at it was overkill, but keep in mind the 15-meter distance, or you might get splattered. Going up against the Bile Titan is an even easier counter, because they have such long attack animations. As long as you dodge the Bile or the melee attack, you have plenty of time to blow their head off with this weapon. It'll always one-shot to the head, however, if you're going for the body, it might take 2, and it might be a great option for countering things like the Spore Titans. For the Dragon Roach variant, it will never be within range, as it always runs on a track around the Helldiver. And to no one's surprise, it absolutely annihilates things like Impalers. Going up against the big bad Hive Lord himself, let me just tell you, the Meltagun is going to be an awesome option for fighting this thing. We only had 3 Helldivers with Meltaguns, and we weren't even using any of the red stratagems to fight them. Here he comes! Focus mid-plate right there!
Loading now too.
Reloading.
He's on the retreat. Oh, Baba! Oh, is that the burst of death? Is that the burst of death? Oh, we did it!
There he goes. Good job, dude.
We melted his.
And the hunt only lasted 12 minutes and 56 seconds. But you're probably curious on where it fits in a loadout.
Oh no.
Oh my god. Since this weapon serves as a perfect heavy counter, there are very little situations in which you'll actually need to fire it, because you'd only really want to use this on the heavy class of enemies. And you're definitely not going to be using it to close bug holes. It just doesn't have that. If you have the Hover Pack, you can easily counter Bile Titans, or you could just use Warp Pack for better movement. Now moving on to the Illuminate. Now there isn't a lot of enemies this weapon would be used against on this front. They're known as the machine gun front. There's not a lot of enemies worth this weapon's time, unless it's an Overseer, because I fucking hate them. You'd be better off using a flamethrower if you want to counter all the chaff. You'd probably bring it specifically to counter the enemy units like Harvesters, but you have to get really close to be able to land this laser shot on it. And pro tip, if you want to dodge the arc attack that they do when you get close, lay down. Otherwise, get under their shield or take it out before you try to kill them. Going up against the Flesh Mob, it will take about 2 shots to kill these guys. These enemy units are microwave sponges and need a lot of focusing on them. And while it waits for a worthy opponent on the base form of Illuminate, it is a deadly counter against the Appropriators. The Illuminate love to be explosive resistant with their machines, but this is all MELTA power. Just make sure you have a counter for all the snitches. If you're going up against Stingrays, just keep in mind you don't have the reach to get them, unless you have extra tools.
Here we freaking go.
Oh, you got him! You got him! Holy shit! And while it wouldn't be a weapon I'd use against the boat snatchers, I definitely would prefer to use it against the crushers. Melt their helmet off and then shoot them in the face. But I would have to say the heavy machine gun would be a better counter option if you're struggling with crushers. Next up we have the bots, and I took it specifically to the cyborgs to push this gun to its limit. And I even got my favorite enemy, the War Strider.
Fuck, you died.
We have a perfect get back option for those War Strider spams. You will have to play way more cautiously as the bots can shoot back. If you get a hang of the weapon's range and take cover, you will absolutely rock the battlefield. And similar to the bug front, you'll get a lot more footwork out of this weapon, since the bots are more known for having heavy units on the field. And the next time we have a Hulk surge, the Helldivers will be ready, as the Melta is an immediate counter to them. But how does it fare against the Cyborg's ultimate unit, the Vox engine? It doesn't take one shot, it doesn't take two shots, it takes 3 shots to kill a Vox engine. And I still see people saying that this weapon's bad. If you have 3 people running this weapon, you can literally delete Vox engines from the map, assuming your fire team doesn't break the formation. No! Why'd you get it? Damn it! Shot the person! I'm just saying, I'm looking forward to the next time it's a Cyborg Major Order because I have some things I want to tell them. Oh, and it can even destroy those bulk fabricators in 2 shots. A very powerful weapon for the bot front. However, the main concern and the big weakness for it is closing the distance against a majority of these enemies, as this weapon's 15-meter range means you're going to be a close quarter fighter. And as a brief recap, you'll get a heavy amount of use of these weapons on both the bugs and the bot front. Charger spam will no longer be a threat for you if you're using this weapon, as you are an immediate counter to anything that gets within 15 meters. On the automaton front, it is you who has to be worried about closing the distance and making sure you're not in the open for too long or you might get shot up. A good way that you can counter the automaton's gunfire is by dropping orbital smokes or the airstrike, as the automatons have a harder time tracking you through the smoke. And while it's not terrible on the Illuminate front, the lack of heavy enemies make it very questionable to bring, as they often spam a lot of chaff units at you, but a solid option if you're going up against the appropriators. Now, I won't lie, it might be a difficult weapon for you if you're not used to fighting in 15 meters of enemies. If you're someone that prefers to play it at a safer distance, this weapon's going to be very hard, which means you'll have to enter firefights where you are going to be at high risk. You might get bit, scratched, burned, shot, but with the power of the Meltagun, it is worth it. It's a specialized weapon for close quarters. There is a loadout that I enjoy using with this weapon, and I like to call it the Blitzkrieg. I like to use the Oxygenator armor set because it looks drippy, and it's an overall great armor set for high mobility loadouts. It's an armor passive that'll keep you light on your feet, but the main thing that finishes the loadout is the Guard Dog, which will assist you in all the swarm situations, and covering you while you're fighting your Melta. Otherwise, the Kasserkin armor set does perfectly fine with this weapon. Instead of a Guard Dog, you can use Warp Pack to help close distance when you're hunting heavy targets. The Meltagun fulfills a very important combat role that we don't have too much weapons for. It's a close combat weapon that isn't a melee, and personally, I'd have to say one of the coolest weapons we've could have gotten. But what do you guys personally think about this weapon? My name's the Gundam Boy. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and leave a hype to help this video get pushed into the algorithm. Otherwise, I will see you guys next time.